Hello.
419 today.
Yep. Yeah.
There you go.
Thank
Have a
you.
good day.
Oh, hey guys. I was giving it some thought. I kind of want to talk about exhaust for the E92 M3. Why exhaust, you say? The car sounds great as it is. Well, some would agree. I do agree, in fact. But, as an enthusiast of performance vehicles and tinkering and not ever leaving well enough alone, I really would like to change the way the exhaust sounds on this car. I think I would like it a little bit louder. I want it to sound meaner. I want it to kind of stand out. I want the neighbors to actually hear me coming, and that is the plan. But let's talk about how you do that. There's many ways to do that. Oh God, I'm sorry it's raining right now. Maybe we'll catch some cool like lightning or something on video. But automatic wipers, yeah. So exhaust, man, there's lots of ways you can go with this car, and let me tell you, none of them are cheap, except if you go with like a Megan exhaust or something like that from eBay, which is, for an eBay exhaust, it has pretty good reviews. Something about buying an eBay marketed exhaust like that, I don't know. But before I even get into that, let's talk about why you would even consider exhaust for power, if that's your thing. Sound, I mean, whatever you're going to do to your exhaust, it's going to make it louder, and it's going to change the note some ways. So if you're looking at a muffler system, which is the most common type of change to any vehicle, the factory muffler on this flows very well. BMW's engineers did a great job. So replacing just the muffler portion on the E92 M3 doesn't do a whole lot. You'll get some looks. You'll get a little bit sound out of it, different note. You got to be careful with what you go with because you don't want to have a droney exhaust or one that's too loud. But replacing the rear muffler box doesn't yield much power. You might be looking at 5 or so if you're lucky. The power with these exhausts are going to be from replacing the cat pipe, specifically the primary cats on the mid-pipe or X-pipe. There's 4 cats on these cars, and your primary cats are the restrictive ones. Replacing those have yielded 25 horse, 25 torque, which is measurable. And you can get it for cheap if you want. And, there's always a caveat to that, right? So, yeah, you can go out and get some $300 or $400 test pipes where you chop up the factory X pipe and you clamp on the replacement pipes. So you essentially eliminate your primary cats, which are the bottleneck there, and then you still have your secondary cats, which I believe are 200 cell cats on these things. Makes it a bit louder, throatier, sounds meaner, no doubt, and you get power. So for $300, that's a deal. But here's that but. We got a little bit of lightning up there. Here's the but. The but is that you're going to have a check engine light if you go that route. And I don't know about you, I don't want a big yellow check engine light staring me in the face every time I go for a drive. So I want to go halfway in. No, I'm going all the way in here. So I don't want a big check engine light. That's probably too dark. Ah, damn it. We'll turn some lights on here and see how it's like. Every light in the book, it's on. Yeah, so park my M3 in the car like a boat, just dock it until it hits the tire wall up in the front, bounce off a little bit. So the check engine light, you can fix it by getting a tune. And a tune is going to give you even more power. It's going to smooth out your power delivery. It's going to make it a little bit more drivable. If you have a DCT, maybe there's a tune for that as well. I've got 6-speed manual with 3 pedals, so I don't get any of that. You could get a little bit better fuel economy with the tune as well. I mean, we're probably talking, what? Let's be realistic here. 1 or 2 miles per gallon? Yeah, that's actually like 10% or so if you factor in that some people are getting a little over 12 miles per gallon with their M3 driving around town. So that's not too terrible. But the cost, you're looking at a tune to eliminate your check engine light, and now you've spent $700 to $1,000 on a tune, $300-400 on test pipes. You're in no less than $1,100-ish or so. Maybe let's call it $1,000 if you get used test pipes and you find a good tune for a deal. $1,000. That gives you 25 horsepower or more to the ground, mind you, and a tune. So that's not actually terrible. But then if you need to do emissions, and not all of you do, so those that don't have to do emissions, that's not a bad deal. You can just pick up another used X-pipe whenever you need to sell the car or that comes around. But for the rest of us, like me, I live in Northern Virginia. We have emissions done when you renew your plate. So it's every 1 or 2 years, 2 years at most. And in which case you then have to buy another replacement X-pipe, because if you cut off your primary cats on your X-pipe, you would have to either re-weld them on, which I guess you could do, and hope it lines back up afterwards, or you buy a new X-pipe, a factory X-pipe again, and put that back on. So I guess actually a smart way to do it, if you're going to do it, I say smart way, there's lots of ways to do this. The test pipe route I was mentioning is the cheapest way to do it, because it's about $400 for the test pipes. But if you have to deal with emissions, then you have to find another way to get the cats back on it in order to pass. You can buy O2 extenders that in some cases will eliminate the check engine light. It's not foolproof, it doesn't always work. Some people have said they work for a couple weeks and then the check engine light comes back on. So if you need to deal with emissions, you're going to have to figure that out. You don't want to cut up your factory X-pipe if you have to pass emissions and worry about that later. So maybe you replace your X-pipe in the center altogether. Let's say you go that route. And there's lots of different combinations of resonators and non-resonated and X designs, and where they put the cats. If you get high flow cats, are they up front and back? And even if you go with a high flow cat, chances are you're still going to get a check engine light, and you're not going to get all of the power that you would. Well, actually, I guess you probably would if you just go with a single 200 flow cat, 200 cell cats. You probably get a good amount of power and sound and everything out of it. But if you're going to replace the X-pipe, you're also looking at probably $1,000 for the X-pipe, no matter what configuration you choose, especially if it doesn't have cats on it. So then you're looking at $1,000 for X-pipe, $1,000 for a tune, and I'm talking, new prices here. So you're looking at $2,000 or so for 25 horsepower and some sound. I guess you save some weight in the center of the car too. It's probably, of all the places you could save weight, down low and in the center of the car is not the best place to save weight. But yes, you would probably save 5-10 pounds or something like that with an X-pipe. And but that's $2,000, and I don't want to spend $2,000 to have a little bit more sound. I'm not racing the car. I feel like the car is plenty fast enough for what I want as it is. So you look at Muffler Systems and you think, okay, you buy a back box, the muffler catback, whatever it's called in your neighborhood, and you could go anywhere from $400 or $500 for something off of eBay like a Megan, which people do say sounds pretty good. You can see all the videos out there. It's not a bad sounding exhaust. I haven't heard one in person, but maybe that's something I need to do. And the thing about some of these cheaper pipes like that is a lot of them come with the titanium finish tips. You can get them with the chrome tips too, or you can just cut them off and replace with your own tips. But then you're factoring up even more money. Because let's be honest, if you want a nice set of tips, you're going to spend probably no less than $75-80 a tip, and you got 4 of them. So now you're looking at $350-400 plus the cost of getting them added on. If they're not bolt-on, you got to get those things welded onto the muffler that you choose. The price goes up. Suddenly your $400-500 muffler is turned into $800-900, and then you're looking at the price of some used, better known brands like Magnaflow or Borla. Tends to be those that are your broader manufacturers that cover both, you know, American and imports, and not so much those designed specifically for European cars, which really doesn't matter if it gives you the sound that you like. Just kind of know that. I found personally that I'm a big fan of, and this is all going from what I've heard on, you know, watching all the YouTube videos. The Dynon exhaust is super clean, sounds super smooth. I really like the Corsa exhaust, don't like the tips on it. I think the Borla Attack also sounds really good. And then you get your really expensive mufflers systems like Akrapovic and your titanium stuff, and then you're spending $3,000-$4,000 for a muffler that saves a little bit of weight and has some different sound. You're not gaining any sort of power. So I could never justify that. So yeah, I guess I just want to talk a little bit about mufflers and what's going through my head right now. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I think if I found another X-pipe, factory X-pipe locally for a couple $100, then I might go ahead and spring for test pipes. That way I can put them onto my factory X-pipe and still have another one that I don't have to worry about passing emissions when time comes. But chances are I'm still going to have to deal with a check engine light at that point, and then there goes another $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 for a tune, and that's, you know, suddenly I'm probably looking at $1,500 for 25 wheel horsepower and a bit of noise, which realistically isn't too awful. Yeah, some people spend that much on an intake that doesn't get them a fraction of that. So that's not bad. But I think what I really want is just a little bit of noise. I'm fine with the power. I think I might actually go for one of those eBay Megan catbacks, unless I can find a really good deal on a Dynon. I'd spend $1,000 on a Dynon if I could find one, or Corsa if I could find one of those. But man, I don't know. Here I go again. You know, do you buy it nice or buy it twice? Buy it nice would definitely be the Dynon or Corsa. Buy it twice. I don't want to have to do this twice. What do you guys think? Let me know. Well, my drink's melting. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.